named Shaun Gallagher. So I graduated St. Joe's in 2013. Currently working for Keystone Sports Entertainment, which is the parent group of the Philadelphia Union soccer team playing Major League Soccer. And my current role there is an account executive of corporate partnerships. So going out and generating new business through corporate partners. Um, so as you can kind of see behind me, right, Subaru Park, there would be an example of a corporate partner. They have the stadium naming rights for our venue. So it's really going out and finding brands in the community that want to grow their business through working with us, right? We have a really cool platform where we're able to develop um, interesting marketing platforms and provide different assets that are going to help them grow their business. So it's working with them, finding new businesses, finding what their strategic initiatives are, what they're looking to accomplish, and then really working with our partnership marketing team to develop assets and build it out from there. On the other end, so it's a very much a sales role, but on the other end, it's a kind of a relationship management where we have partners that we're already taking care of. We're already always trying to upsell them, provide more value, continually show them additional assets that we can grow our revenue for the organization. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really about growing the revenue for the team. So my entry path was at St. Joe's. I did two internships for the union. One my summer going into senior year, and then the spring of my senior year. And from there, I graduated, right, and then went out to Minnesota to go work for the now defunct Major League Soccer National Sales Center. That was essentially a ticket sales training ground. It was essentially an inside sales academy out in Blaine, Minnesota, where it was myself and 20 other just recent college grads, and we learned the ins and outs of ticket sales, where we're selling for teams all over the country. I mean, there was a time where I was selling for DC United and the Los Angeles Galaxy in one day. So I was able to do that, do well enough to where that earned me a position back at the Philadelphia Union. Started out as an account executive in ticket sales, and was able to do pretty well in that, and kind of keep working my way up the ladder until I moved into premium seating. Eventually became the senior manager of premium seating for the union, and before I decided to make the move over to corporate partnerships. And that was always my career goal, was to work into the corporate partnerships realm. And very fortunate I've been able to do that with the union. As for a typical career path, I would say it's, I don't know, like an industry standard, but there's a lot of situations where that is common, right? Um, in in our role, right, in ticket sales and in corporate partnerships, is very much a revenue generating position, right? So when you're starting out with ticket sales as like an inside sales, um, you're selling more of a low dollar amount figure an item. So and you just kind of work your way up into in ticket sales. You can either go, hey, I'm going to go the management route, or where I'm going to continue to work on an inside sales team, oversee those people. Then you oversee like season ticket sales or group sales, or you move to where continue to move where you're selling more high ticket items. I always wanted to be in corporate partnerships, and that's the role that I saw for myself. So that's where just the direction I went. And sometimes people will start out I've seen in corporate partnerships where they'll take a coordinator role very early on, sort of learn the ins and outs of everything in the department, right, and then move their way up. But we're in our department, right? We have our sales team, and then we have our service team, right? So in a lot of situations, people will start in service and then transition into sales. So from my perspective, you very need to have very tough skin, at least working in a sales role, more especially Major League Soccer, right? It's in Philadelphia. It's a 5-for-5 sports town, but we very much are a challenger brand in the professional sports space, right? Um, every team has a number of years head start on us, so we're continually striving to grow the revenue and relevance for our organization. So when I'm going into these meetings, right, it's understanding that just where we are in the marketplace. We're small, but we're growing quickly, and that is something that we're very passionate about and able to work with brands to tell that story. So just not being discouraged in a very competitive market is something. Just having tough skin like that. Then also just being able to listen well, right? When we're having these meetings and having conversations with brands about coming on board, it's really just not saying like, hey, we'll give you this sign, or hey, we'll put your logo here. It's really finding out what their business objectives are and making that a compelling case, right? So it's um, saying, hey, Scott, tell me what your goals are, right? What are the really cool opportunities coming out over the next 6, 12, 18 months, right? Like who's your target demographic, who you're trying to reach, and knowing like who we are, right? Knowing what we bring to the table from a fan base standpoint. And a lot of times we'll be like, hey, sometimes it may not make sense for your brand or who you're trying to reach to partner with us, right? And that's just knowing who we are. And then uh, the last thing I would say, on top of having tough skin and just being a really good listener, is being able to have empathy, right? So in this current role, more so ever than in 2020, we're dealing with the entire world got to turn on its head, but we're looking at things from a business standpoint. We're working with our partners, and their businesses are in upheaval. Our business is in upheaval, and trying to find solutions that make both sides happy, right? So it's really finding solutions, putting yourself in their shoes, and figuring out what we can do to again make sure we're retaining revenue, growing revenue for our company, but still helping them achieve their goals and be understanding along that as well. I would say just knowing like internships, right? You have to do internships, and I know St. Joe's does a really fantastic job of like kind of telling the students, hey, you have to do internships. That's more important. Um, I'm pretty fortunate where I was able to do 2 internships at the union, and I'm sure that played a role in me being able to come back to the union, right, and do my entry level ticket sales job there when a position became available. The the sports industry, for example, it is um, very it's a very small industry, right, where everyone kind of knows each other. So at this point, we're looking at things as a opportunity to continue to build everything, and just everyone talks, right? So we're very much a small industry. So having good connections and everything that it's only helping through your internships. Again, it's probably a blunt way of putting it, but everyone wants to help college kids. Um, once you're on the other side of that, where you've graduated and you're still trying to be like, hey, what do I do? Help me find a job. It's not quite as appealing. But everyone wants to help college kids. So if you're super proactive while you're an undergrad, it is incredibly, people want to help back. Everyone was in college, they want to be able to give back and do all those things. So that's an opportunity where we're really just reaching out to people, right? I would say look at LinkedIn, find different positions, see what different roles and organizations are, and you can reach out for people for informational interviews, ask to shadow for a day. A lot of times, if you can volunteer for an organization, that's a really great way to start for an internship, especially on game days. Teams are always looking for volunteers, and if you're a really good volunteer and you're going for an internship, that helps even more. I wouldn't say I've really faced any barriers. Sports is very much a meritocracy, right? And even more so on the revenue generating side. If you can show a positive ROI for your organization, you're going to continue to move up and you'll continue to have opportunities. That's one of the things that's always been really appealing about the sports industry from my standpoint. Um, Most people really start at the bottom and you continue to work your way up. So if you are able to move up along the revenue generating side, yeah, your numbers really speak for themselves. So I would say in my industry, must be reading Sports Business Journal. That's a must, right? It's a like weekly publication where you get that, you kind of keep up on all the latest ins and outs of the professional sports industry. For this, also, I would say just front office sports is a great one. Forbes Sports is always giving great articles and just anything where you can be aware of like the industry. For my current role, I read I subscribe to a ton of different like morning emails where I get like Philadelphia Business Journal, Front Office Sports, um, got probably like three or four others. So getting all those in the morning where you can really get a landscape of like, hey, this is what happened yesterday if you missed it, and just being aware of current events is just going to help you even more so when you're going through everything. It wasn't so much like anything that I wish I could have been told. I truly feel like I got a good understanding of what like entry level sports was there. Um, it's just understanding like really how competitive the industry is, right? Every we're such a competitive industry, right? We're flooded with resumes of people trying to start the process and come into sports, right? So just really like hammering that home of like, hey, you have a fantastic degree from St. Joe's, tremendous school, but it didn't. You are still going up against a ton of people that have resumes that look just like you. Um, so that's where internships really help separate that because um, 3.5 GPA, done all the sports marketing classes. Um, their sports is a very again competitive industry, so having those internships and just really knowing it is very competitive to get in, and when you are coming in you're really going to have to do a lot of things to separate yourself. I would say from my standpoint it's a fantastic career. It's very demanding. Some days are a lot better than others, but when you get that deal signed, your team wins a trophy, it really kind of all becomes worth it. So just kind of realize like at least in the sports industry there are very much ups and downs, but you are playing the long game, and that's something that's very important to always keep in mind.